Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins offseason took a contentious turn when center Aaron Brewer openly criticized the Chicago Bears for what he described as fake physicality during joint practice earlier this month. Training camp joint practices are generally designed to provide players with exposure to different opponents while still operating under controlled conditions, allowing teams to test schemes, sharpen fundamentals, and simulate in-game scenarios without risking full contact injuries. Brewer's comments, however, suggest that the Bears may have pushed those boundaries too far, turning what was supposed to be a structured and strategic session into something resembling full-blown physical play. According to Brewer, while the Dolphins were executing controlled drills, Chicago players were tackling more aggressively than intended, creating an uneven environment that skewed the purpose of the joint practice. The statement sparked immediate attention, raising questions about professionalism, preparation, and competitive boundaries during NFL joint practices, and signaling a rare moment where a player publicly critiqued another franchise's approach to camp etiquette. Brewer's critique centered on the perceived exaggeration of physical engagement by the Bears, a dynamic he called fake physicality. From his perspective, while the Dolphins approached the session as a strategic workout, Chicago's tactics crossed into unnecessary aggression. He specifically highlighted the mismatch between the intended practice format and the Bears' apparent focus on tackling and contact drills, suggesting that the competitive balance was disrupted. Brewer described the difference as akin to playing two distinct games simultaneously, with one team engaged in full-contact drills and the other executing limited-scope 7-on-7 exercises. This scenario, according to Brewer, not only diminished the effectiveness of the practice, but also created a misleading impression of physical dominance that would not necessarily translate to an actual game setting. The comments reflect an ongoing concern among NFL players and coaches about how joint practices are conducted and the thin line between productive competition and overzealous physicality. The fallout from Brewer's remarks was swift, with Bears safety Jaquan Brisker responding via social media to defend his team's approach. While Brisker's exact comments were measured, the exchange underscores how sensitive these interactions can be, especially in an era when players' statements are instantly amplified online. The dialogue between Brewer and Brisker also highlighted the ongoing competitive tension between teams during training camps, where reputations, pride, and preparation are all on the line. Public disputes like this are relatively rare, as most practice critiques remain internal, emphasizing professionalism and respect between franchises. Brewer's willingness to speak openly about what he saw suggests a commitment to transparency and accountability in Miami's preparation, while also revealing how differences in training philosophy can become flashpoints for media narratives during the preseason. The conversation around these practices inevitably shapes fan expectations and media coverage. The Dolphins' preseason opener against the Bears ended in a 24-24 tie, a game that perhaps foreshadowed some of the competitive friction Brewer later described. While the scoreline suggests a balanced matchup, Brewer's comments imply that the training environment leading up to the game may not have been entirely reflective of each team's capabilities. For Miami, this raises questions about how practice conditions influence game readiness and whether joint practices serve as an accurate barometer for in-season performance. Brewer's perspective suggests that his team may have been forced to recalibrate expectations when transitioning from practice to actual gameplay, highlighting the critical importance of consistency between training drills and live-action intensity. The tie itself, while seemingly neutral, becomes more intriguing in light of Brewer's narrative, suggesting that pre-game preparation and practice philosophy may have subtle but meaningful impacts on performance outcomes. Miami's ongoing narrative about physicality in recent years adds context to Brewer's remarks. Critics have frequently questioned whether the Dolphins possess sufficient toughness to endure a full NFL season, with concerns often aimed at both conditioning and on-field aggressiveness. Brewer's critique of the Bears touches on this long-standing discussion, positioning Miami as a team that prioritizes controlled preparation over theatrics or posturing. By pointing out what he considers fake physicality, Brewer subtly defends the Dolphins' approach while also emphasizing the importance of authentic, consistent effort across every drill. This framing not only reinforces Miami's internal culture, but also challenges external perceptions, positioning the team as disciplined and methodical rather than reactive or performative. The remarks, therefore, are as much about protecting Miami's image as they are about calling out perceived inconsistencies in another franchise's practices. When asked about whether the Dolphins need to demonstrate more physicality this season, Brewer shifted the conversation to Miami's consistent work ethic rather than engaging in external comparisons. He highlighted the rigorous preparation that began with off-season training activities and carried through daily camp drills, framing the team's philosophy around sustained effort and measurable dominance. According to Brewer, Miami focuses on wearing down opponents through consistent pressure, controlled aggression, and strategic execution, ensuring that physicality is meaningful rather than performative. This stance reflects a broader organizational culture that values resilience, smart tackling, and endurance over flamboyant displays of strength. By articulating this approach, Brewer reinforces a narrative of preparation and professionalism, signaling to fans, analysts, and opposing teams that Miami's strength lies not in spectacle, but in disciplined execution and cumulative physical presence throughout each play and throughout the season. The contrast between perceived, fake, physicality and disciplined intensity is crucial in understanding Brewer's commentary. Joint practices are not meant to simulate chaotic, uncontrolled gameplay, but to refine skills, evaluate matchups, and stress-test team concepts under manageable risk. When players interpret actions differently, some prioritizing raw contact, others structured repetition, it can create tension and divergent perceptions of readiness. Brewer's public remarks reveal an important philosophical difference between teams, highlighting how definitions of toughness and preparation can vary dramatically even within a professional league. This divergence also raises questions about accountability, sportsmanship, and the boundaries of competitive behavior during preseason activities. By speaking out, Brewer positions himself and the Dolphins as adherents to a disciplined, measured philosophy that he believes maximizes both players' safety and strategic advantage. Beyond the immediate practice environment, Brewer's statements carry implications for team morale and identity. By framing the Dolphins as a team committed to authentic physicality, endurance, and strategic preparation, Brewer reinforces internal cohesion and a sense of shared purpose. Simultaneously, the remarks serve as a subtle challenge to opponents, implying that Miami is not easily fooled by theatrics or displays of exaggerated aggression. This dual effect, strengthening internal identity while signaling resolve externally, is a common tactic among NFL veterans and can shape both perception and performance. In Miami's case, Brewer's comments may also serve to reset narratives about the team's toughness, pushing back against critics and emphasizing that sustained, effective physicality matters more than momentary intensity during controlled sessions. The broader discussion around joint practices, physicality, and player interactions has been evolving across the NFL. Brewer's critique contributes to this dialogue, highlighting how perceptions of effort and intensity can influence both preparation and public narrative. In a league where games are decided by narrow margins and small tactical advantages, ensuring that practice environments align with strategic goals is paramount. Brewer's willingness to publicly address these issues underscores the intersection of player insight, media attention, and team philosophy. By drawing attention to what he saw as misaligned priorities, Brewer is advocating not only for Miami's preparedness, but also for clearer expectations in how joint practices are conducted league-wide. His statements may prompt further reflection on consistency, safety, and the definition of meaningful physicality in the preseason context. Ultimately, Aaron Brewer's candid comments about the Dolphins' joint practice with the Bears highlight both an internal and external narrative about preparation, toughness, and authenticity in the NFL. By calling out perceived, fake physicality, Brewer reinforces a culture of disciplined intensity while also challenging another team's approach to controlled drills. His perspective provides fans, analysts, and fellow players with a glimpse into how preparation philosophy and in-practice behavior can shape competitive outcomes, identity, and perception. As Miami continues training camp with the Lions, Jaguars, and beyond, the team's emphasis on genuine, sustained physicality will remain central to both internal morale and public image. Brewer's remarks serve as a reminder that in professional football, preparation, execution, and authentic toughness often speak louder than theatrics or superficial displays of strength, setting a tone for both practice and the season ahead. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Finns this week? The sports world is buzzing with one of the most unexpected rumors in recent memory. Mike McDaniel, the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, has reportedly asked to step down from his position. According to sources close to the organization, this news has sent shockwaves throughout the team, the locker room, and the league at large. McDaniel, who has been praised for his innovative offensive schemes and leadership style, appears to have made this decision quietly, without any prior public hints or interviews suggesting dissatisfaction. The rumor alone has ignited countless debates among fans, analysts, and insiders who are speculating about the possible reasons behind such a sudden and dramatic move. Some whisper that internal conflicts with upper management, disagreements over player acquisitions, or even personal reasons could be influencing his choice. The Dolphins, a franchise known for its passionate fan base and intense media scrutiny, now face a whirlwind of speculation about the next steps and potential replacements. As this story develops, insiders suggest that McDaniel's departure, if confirmed, could leave a significant void in the Dolphins' coaching hierarchy, especially considering the offensive identity he has helped establish over his tenure. His approach to game planning, blending innovative concepts with a willingness to take calculated risks, has become a defining characteristic of Miami's football philosophy. Rumors indicate that players are reportedly split in their reactions, with some expressing deep disappointment while others might see it as an opportunity for a fresh start. The media frenzy surrounding this possible resignation is already intensifying, with analysts dissecting every past press conference and interview for clues about his state of mind. The uncertainty surrounding the situation is driving speculation about whether the Dolphins could attempt to persuade him to stay, or if the decision is already final. Meanwhile, fan forums and social media channels are exploding with theories, conjectures, and sometimes outlandish predictions about the future of the franchise, creating a narrative that is equal parts excitement, confusion, and concern. The potential resignation of Mike McDaniel has also triggered speculation about its impact on the team's performance in the upcoming season. Many are questioning whether this rumor could affect player morale, with whispers that some star athletes may feel unsettled by the instability. The Dolphins, who have been working to cement themselves as serious playoff contenders, now might face a period of uncertainty that could disrupt preseason preparations. According to those close to the organization, front office executives are reportedly scrambling to evaluate possible replacements, all while balancing the need to maintain continuity and preserve the offensive identity that McDaniel has nurtured. The rumor mill suggests that potential candidates for the head coaching position are being quietly assessed, though no official statements have yet been released. The pressure on the Dolphins' management is immense, as fans and commentators alike are demanding transparency, but insiders indicate that any public acknowledgement is likely being delayed to avoid further speculation and media frenzy. Adding to the intrigue, sources indicate that McDaniel's rumored resignation might be tied to personal considerations that extend beyond football. Speculation has circulated that family obligations, health concerns, or lifestyle preferences may have influenced the decision, though none of these have been officially confirmed. If true, it would reflect a human element behind what is otherwise a business-oriented environment, reminding fans that coaches, despite their public persona, have private lives and priorities. Analysts are noting that if personal reasons are indeed at play, it might explain the quiet nature of the reported resignation and why there has been no immediate public explanation. Meanwhile, sports commentators are dissecting the implications for the team's strategy, pondering whether the Dolphins will look internally for an interim solution or seek a high-profile external candidate to maintain momentum. The rumor, true or false, has already created a palpable tension in Miami, highlighting how interconnected sports, media, and fan sentiment have become in shaping narratives even before official confirmation. Rumors suggest that the Dolphins' ownership is cautiously optimistic about retaining some stability despite McDaniel's potential departure. Insiders say management may already be in informal discussions with assistant coaches and coordinators to gauge interest in stepping into interim leadership roles, should the resignation become official. The possibility of a leadership shakeup has intensified debates about the direction of the franchise, with some fans advocating for a return to a more traditional approach, while others push for a continuation of McDaniel's progressive style. Analysts speculate that the timing of this rumored resignation is particularly sensitive, coming in the offseason when strategic decisions about draft picks, trades, and player contracts are already underway. These rumors have also sparked a broader conversation about coaching tenure in the NFL, player-coach dynamics, and the pressures inherent in leading a high-profile team, adding layers of complexity to an already charged environment. The narrative surrounding McDaniel is transforming into a story that blends uncertainty, speculation, and a sense of inevitability that has yet to be officially addressed. According to whispers in the league, rival teams are closely monitoring the Dolphins' situation, viewing McDaniel's rumored resignation as a potential advantage in their competitive planning. Sources indicate that teams with offensive-minded head coaches may be particularly intrigued, both from a personnel standpoint and as an opportunity to potentially recruit a well-respected coach who could shift the balance of power. Speculation about the impact on player development is also rampant, with insiders suggesting that younger athletes who thrived under McDaniel's guidance may face uncertainty about their future roles. Sports media outlets are reportedly reaching out to former players and colleagues for commentary, trying to piece together a narrative that explains what might have motivated this sudden development. The combination of internal disruption and external interest is generating a media spectacle, one that could define off-season discussions for months to come. Fans are anxiously awaiting official confirmation while simultaneously indulging in wild conjecture, fueling the rumor mill with theories ranging from the plausible to the absurd. Meanwhile, Miami-based journalists are reporting that the locker room atmosphere could be shifting in anticipation of McDaniel's rumored departure. Sources claim that team leaders are working to reassure younger players, emphasizing continuity and focus on the upcoming season, though the tension is reportedly palpable. Some veterans are allegedly weighing their future with the team, pondering whether a new coaching regime could alter their roles or contract situations. The rumor has, according to insiders, created a flurry of private conversations between management, coaching staff, and key players, all trying to read the signals and prepare for potential changes. Analysts suggest that even the slightest confirmation or denial from the Dolphins could dramatically influence public perception, ticket sales, and media narratives. The speculation, rife with intensity and uncertainty, illustrates how a single rumor about a high-profile coach can ripple through every layer of a franchise, from ownership to players to fans, creating a charged environment filled with anticipation and anxiety. There are also murmurs that McDaniel's departure could trigger a domino effect in the coaching industry, with assistant coaches, coordinators, and even front office personnel potentially seeking new opportunities in anticipation of structural changes. Some insiders argue that this could lead to a flurry of hires, trades, or shifts in coaching philosophies across multiple teams, making the rumor about McDaniel not just a Miami story, but a league-wide point of discussion. Industry watchers speculate that rival franchises could use this situation as leverage in their own personnel decisions, while media outlets continue dissecting every past press appearance, quote, or decision to find hints about the real motivation behind the rumored resignation. The potential ripple effects extend beyond coaching alone, touching scouting, draft strategies, and player retention policies, illustrating the interconnected nature of football operations at the highest level. The rumor has, even without confirmation, already begun reshaping conversations about leadership stability, organizational strategy, and the human element behind coaching decisions in the NFL. Some observers are emphasizing the cultural impact of McDaniel's rumored departure, suggesting that his influence on team culture, player morale, and public perception cannot be underestimated. According to insider chatter, McDaniel has fostered a unique environment that blends discipline, creativity, and innovation, and losing that could alter the identity of the Dolphins. Fans on social media have reportedly launched campaigns urging him to stay, reflecting the emotional investment and attachment to his leadership style. Analysts warn that, even if a replacement is found, replicating the synergy and trust McDaniel cultivated will be an uphill battle. The rumor, true or not, has already prompted discussions about what defines a successful coaching tenure, the importance of leadership continuity, and how teams navigate transitions without destabilizing performance. Miami, in this context, becomes a microcosm of the challenges faced by organizations when navigating high-profile personnel changes in a high-stakes environment, demonstrating how a single decision or rumor can resonate far beyond its immediate sphere. Speculation also surrounds the potential candidates who could step into McDaniel's role should the rumored resignation materialize. Industry insiders suggest a range of possibilities, from internal coordinators familiar with his system to high-profile external coaches seeking a fresh challenge. Rumors indicate that some names are already quietly being floated in league circles, while media outlets attempt to analyze previous coaching patterns and strategic fit. Fans are engaged in an intense guessing game, weighing pros and cons of potential replacements and dissecting how each candidate might influence team dynamics and game strategy. Analysts point out that timing will be critical, as the Dolphins need a leader who can maintain cohesion and ensure that off-season plans, including player conditioning, draft preparations, and preseason training, remain on track. The speculation continues to grow, blending insider insights with conjecture and fan enthusiasm, creating a charged atmosphere in Miami and beyond, where anticipation is nearly as powerful as confirmation. Finally, the broader implications of Mike McDaniel's rumored resignation extend into the narrative of NFL coaching stability, franchise identity, and media influence. Insiders whisper that this situation will serve as a case study for how sudden departures, whether personal or professional, affect team culture, fan engagement, and competitive balance. Analysts and commentators are weighing in on what this means for the Dolphins' long-term prospects, how rival teams might exploit this period of uncertainty, and whether such rumors, even unverified, can shift league-wide perceptions about leadership and decision-making. Fans, meanwhile, are immersed in a swirling mix of hope, frustration, and excitement, debating possible outcomes and envisioning alternate realities. Whether the rumor proves accurate or ultimately unfounded, its impact is already undeniable, shaping conversations across media platforms, social channels, and locker rooms alike. The story of McDaniel and the Dolphins, as it unfolds, captures the essence of sports culture: unpredictability, emotion, and a relentless appetite for speculation that keeps audiences engaged, invested, and endlessly talking. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.